The sheriff of Fulton County has terminated an officer who wound up on the wrong side of the law. She apparently got into an altercation with another woman that was personal in nature, according to Sheriff Pat Labatt's office.
The high walls of prisons are built to keep criminals in and crimes out. The prison staff have a duty to not just safeguard the inmates, but ensure they are not violating any rules. Shockingly, a new pattern has emerged behind these high walls, one that reveals prison officers succumbing to desire at the expense of duty. These are stories of female officers who broke the law for male inmates they swore to guard. How far would they go for these men to satisfy their desires? In this video, we uncover the world of power, crime, and the blurred lines between desire and duty behind the walls of correctional centers. The first story is that of 30 years old Shainiqua Bodden, a detention officer in the Fulton County Jail. On October 9, 2023, Bodden was involved in a physical altercation with another woman while wearing a Fulton County Sheriff's Office t-shirt. While this is unbecoming of any officer, the cause of the fight was more implicating. Bodden was in a sexual relationship with a male inmate at the facility where she worked. She became so obsessed with the inmate that she was determined to eliminate all competition. The major subject of her wrath was the inmate's ex-girlfriend, Joane. She began placing incessant calls to Wynn and sent her multiple messages threatening her and ordering her to stay away from the inmate. According to Wynn, Bodden harassed her on Instagram using a fake page and even used her position to intimidate her, saying, "I'm a police officer. I move different."
After the 10 messages, she just started harassing me on Instagram, watching me from a fake page, and stated, I'm a police officer. I move different.
She took it a step further by securing a restraining order against Wynn. This restraining order led to the altercation on the 9th of October 2023. On that day, a police officer was to serve the order on Wynn, but instead of leaving the officer to do their job, Bodden followed them to serve the order. Wynn was at the video shoot for famous Sally's Wassup Gway that day when she was approached by the officer and Bodden. The women immediately got into a verbal exchange as Wynn initially refused to collect the order. She eventually collected it, but spat at Bodden, who retaliated. The verbal exchange soon turned into a fight. As it became heated, Bodden called 911 to report the fight. Officers of the Atlanta Police Force soon arrived, arresting both Wynn and Bodden. The sheriff's office revealed that Bodden had been hired as a probationary employee on March 15th that same year, so she was fired the day after the altercation for inappropriate behavior. Bodden is only one among several other officers who had been fired for having an inappropriate relationship with an inmate. The next story is gathered from the DeKalb County Jail. 26 years old, Deputy Joane Marks was an employee at the DeKalb County Jail for 3 years. In April 2024, employees at the DeKalb County Jail caught an inmate with a contraband phone and cigarettes. Following investigation into the items, it was revealed that a deputy at the jail, Joane Marks, smuggled the items into the jail for the inmate. This shocking discovery prompted further investigation into the officer and the inmate. What would make a deputy risk her job and possibly freedom to smuggle contrabands to an inmate? What sort of relationship do they share? These questions didn't linger for long as Marks confessed to having a sexual relationship with the inmate. She was instantly fired from her job and arrested. She was remanded in the DeKalb County Jail where she once worked.
The arrest of a former deputy accused of bringing contraband into the jail and having sex with an inmate.
On November 21st, 2024, Marks was charged with first-degree sexual contact by an employee, crossing county guard lines with contraband in violation of oath by a public officer. Bodden's case was not the first instance of inappropriate sexual relationship between an inmate and an officer at the Fulton County in 2023. In June 2023, 31 years old Deputy Akeiba Stanley of the Fulton County was caught attempting to smuggle contraband to inmate Christopher Eppinger with the help of his family member. Eppinger was a co-defendant in the YSL RICO case and was also accused of shooting an officer 6 times to resist arrest while being taken into custody in 2022.
RICO case. We're talking about a Fulton County Sheriff's deputy arrested earlier today and accused of trying to smuggle contraband to a defendant in the case.
Stanley had visited Eppinger's cell on multiple occasions and communicated with him on an illegal phone. More digging into this issue showed an intimate relationship between Stanley and Eppinger that had gone on for a while. She was arrested and held in the Fulton County Jail. Suspicions of an inappropriate relationship between Stanley and Eppinger arose during Eppinger's jury selection process. While in court, Eppinger used his attorney's laptop, which is allowed only to view discovery for the case. However, Eppinger used the laptop for more than just discovery. On the laptop, there was Instagram open on a separate window. He was messaging someone on Instagram and constantly minimized the window when deputies moved close to him. He was also caught looking back to smile at Stanley, who returned the smile. Unknown to him, a captain in the Fulton County Sheriff took a picture of the laptop screen. The picture showed that the Instagram account Eppinger was using bore the name Big Briss, which is his nickname. A quick search of the account revealed that it was following only 3 Instagram accounts, one of which was at short_Ness4Life. This account was linked to Stanley. As suspected, the messages between them suggested a sexual relationship. This discovery prompted a thorough investigation into the relationship between the parties, connecting the dots in previous events. One suspicious occurrence was in court when Eppinger sent a message on Instagram, then looked back to smile at Stanley. Stanley also returned the smile before typing on her Apple Watch. She then looked up again to smile at him. Stanley had also put her colleague's life in danger to cuddle Eppinger. In May, just 1 month before Stanley was arrested, an altercation happened between Eppinger and a detention officer in Stanley's presence when Eppinger resisted being detained. Instead of stepping in to help her colleague, Stanley stood by and watched everything unfold. That was not all of it. She also used endearing words with him. After the incident, she comforted Stanley by rubbing his back and said, "Look at me, baby." She had also gifted him in the past while he was in jail. She gave him a birthday card which she purchased from the jail's commissary and signed it Big B. Big B is short for Big Briss, which is Eppinger's YSL nickname and Instagram handle. Apparently, this was not the first time that Stanley had proven herself unworthy of being an officer of the law. She had previously worked in the Atlanta Police Department from 2016 until 2018, when she was fired for reasons undisclosed to the public. A document from the Atlanta Police Department shows that she was fired following investigation on 3 complaints made against her within the span of 30 days.
At $1 million for a former Fulton County deputy who's accused of having an inappropriate relationship with an inmate.
In addition to her employment termination, her Peace Officer Standards and Training Council certification was put on probation for 12 months in 2020. She also completed a 6-month ethics and professionalism course before she was employed at the Fulton County Sheriff's Office in 2022. One could say the training was futile. She had violated her employment agreement in another job and fired yet again. Stanley was charged with reckless conduct, violation of oath of office, conspiracy to commit a felony, and hindering apprehension or punishment of a criminal. Her bond was set at $1 million. There is no indication that she was able to pay her bond. Shainiqua Bodden, Joane Marks, Akeiba Stanley. Their actions depict not just lapses in judgment, but corruption that may run much deeper in the system than we thought. These are just a few people who got caught. How many others continue to cross the line but have managed to slip through the cracks?